What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host, Vernon. This is Bunn's Creek. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, made my way out to where the Bunn Creek runs into the Red River. Again, thinking where these two bodies of water meet, there should be some fish. Now, I like to think that on my channel, I kind of show that anyone can go out and do some fishing. You don't need to be some kind of fish master or anything. If you have a fishing license and a rod, you can go out fishing. And when you're new to fishing, there might be a lot of things you do not know. So today, rather than just throwing out baits and waiting for the fish, I want to focus on the rig or the setup that I'm using out there, show you what it is I'm using. So if you want to use the same type of thing, so you can also try and find some fish. So before we get to the actual fishing, let's look at the setup. Right, so there are a million different ways you can fish out there, as well as different knots and everything. It can get rather complicated. But for me personally, if you're trying to fish a spot, go for something simple, maybe using something like a Carolina rig. That's a little egg weight, a lead weight with a swivel, a piece of line, and your hook. That's something you can cast out, easily retrieve, but you only have one hook, and it's going to be on the bottom. If you want two hooks, I would suggest using something like a high-low rig that's having a lead weight at the bottom. You tie two loop knots in your main line and you put your hooks on that. But again, that can be complicated if you're not used to tying all sorts of different knots. So for the vast majority of people, I would suggest using something like this. Now, this one I have tied onto my setup. That is actually a striper rig, but these are little pre-packaged rigs and they have different names and stuff. For instance, these are called pickerel rigs, but sometimes they're also called trout rigs. Like I said, mine is a striper rig. It's basically two hooks with some beads and some swivels to attach. Now, you can use them as is. They come with hooks and stuff, but I tend to swap out the hooks. These are rather big hooks. They will work perfectly fine, but I tend to put on little octopus hooks or maybe some circle hooks. Now, this might be something simple to use if you're not that used to tying your own knots and stuff. Maybe getting a pre-rigged thing like this. I know lots of people use them. You have a little swivel that you can attach to your main line, and at the bottom you have a place where you can attach some lead weights. I am, however, putting on another piece of line, a thinner piece of line with my little lead weight. The idea being that if my lead weight gets stuck, this line should break and not the rig. The rig is a bit more sturdier, so a lighter line that the line would break. And of course, you can always change out your lead weights. I'm going to start with something light. This is a 1 ounce lead weight. I'm going to throw that out there. If I see that it gets washed down too easily, I'll upscale, go for some heavier weights. You always want to try and get the lightest weight you can get away with. A heavier weight is more likely to get stuck. Now, these little rigs, you can find them at any store. These little pickerel ones, I got that from Canadian Tire, but Walmart has some, and I know Cabela's also has a few. So it's just an easier setup to get two hooks out in the water and have your baits out there. Now, with that being said, I am fishing the little Bunn Creek. It loops around and it runs into the Red River, and we have lots of tiny little bait fish in the creek itself. So I'm not going to throw my baits out here. I'm going to throw it out a bit deeper, hoping to get some of the fish wanting to feed on the bait fish or something, but keeping it simple, putting on some night crawlers, throwing that out, and we might catch anything on night crawlers. That's why it's a good bait to try to catch any type of fish. Alright, so we just had a few taps on the little rod, lots of debris washing down, but we had a clear indication of fish hitting something and then nothing. And I've seen that goldeye sometimes do that, so I just want to bring in the baits and check everything. So I can see something messed with my bait. That's a good sign. I'm going to throw it out there. We leave it. We'll wait. Anything, even some small fish, will put some bends in the rod. And that's what you're waiting for. You don't want to be setting the hook just for small taps. You want to wait for your rod to indicate that something's on there. Again, we're getting some pulls on the rod, but it's not something major. But we do have a little fish on. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is a bullhead catfish, but this is a new species for me. I know it's a bullhead because of the round tail, but the white barbs, that's only on the yellow. This is how you identify different species in the bullhead. Only one species has the white barbs, so this is a new species for me. Just quickly want to get that hook out of him. Alright, ladies and gents, Future Vernon here. While editing this video, I quickly wanted to mention something. Now what I'm saying in this video is true. Out of the 3 bullhead species in these waters, only the yellow bullhead has the little white barbels. But after getting home and doing some research in the little field guide, these aren't bullhead catfish. There's another small species of catfish in these waters, and they are the stone cats. So I might be saying yellow bullhead, but please note that these aren't yellow bullheads. These are stone cats. So every time you hear yellow bullhead, please do just replace that with stone cat. Alright, but let's get back into the video. Alright, so new species of bullhead for me. Lovely to get on. Tiny little fish. Now I know what's been stealing my baits. Been rebaiting quite a lot. Throwing out deeper. Just getting this little guy out in deep. So lots of small fish in the area. Gonna get him back to the water, and there he goes. Alright, so new species landed. That makes me think I need to think about where I'm going to be putting the baits if we have small fish like that in the area. So let's rebait, cast out, see if we get anything else. Again, getting the small taps. This time I think we have something on. And indeed, we have another bullhead. This is the same one with the white barbs. So this is a yellow bullhead. The yellow bullhead has the white barbs. Now the best way to identify them is by counting the anal fin rays, knowing how much they should have. But I'm not going to count that. Let's get this guy back to the water. And off he goes. Now that was in rather deep, and we're still getting these small catfish. So maybe need to weed through all of these small guys to get something different. But that is a new species. Right, so put on a heavier lead weight to get out deeper. And we still managed to get a little bullhead. back to the water. And rather ironically, yellow bullhead don't necessarily have to be yellow, nor does the black bullhead need to be black. They can be yellow as well. Alright, we got some movement on the rod. And once again, tiny little bullhead catfish. Alright, ladies and gents, in this video I set out to show that if you use simple baits, simple gear, just cast it out there, you can find fish. And I hope that will inspire some of you to get out there, do some fishing this summer. Now, as far as the fish we got out there, I caught 5 tiny little bullhead catfish. Now, this is a new species for my life list, but it is rather strange to me that a couple of miles upriver I only caught channel catfish, whereas here I only got some bullhead catfish. Nevertheless, it was fun catching these fish. I think that's where I'm going to put it into this video. Still lots of time left, but I want to explore the creek, throw some different lures and stuff, see if there's anything else out there. If I have any action, I'll show that at the end of this video. Alright, but please do give me a little thumbs up for getting a new life lister out there. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button, joining my community. Alright, but thanks for joining me on this Bunns Creek / Red River fishing session. I appreciate you watching, and like always, see you next time. Alright, so just throwing a little jighead night crawler, and we got a little walleye. Lovely little walleye. Good catch. Let's get him back. Interesting that it's the same spot where I've been getting all of the tiny little catfish. Slowly moving it on the bottom, and we got a little walleye. Same creek, little pike. This one's keeping the night crawler. Let's get him back to the water. There he goes. Just cast it down, moved it on the bottom, got a little pike as well. Alright, this one got me completely off guard. I was reeling in and I almost lifted it out of the water when this guy hit. Lovely little pike. Now I am using some 10-pound mono. So Should be fine to lift this fish. All right, decent fish. Let's get him back to the water. And off he goes. Good quick kick, and he's gone. Alright, but that's some extra fish for this video. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you for sticking around. But that's going to be the end.